Right lads, I've just finished recording the preview there. I just want to say some news. Absolutely delighted to hear that Christian Atsu's body has been found after the earthquakes have been taking place in Turkey. Absolutely shocking scenes in Turkey. I feel for every person out there, for every person from Turkey in this situation. It's awful to see. Former Newcastle United winger Christian Atsu was in a state where his body might not be found after the earthquakes took place, which is awful to see. Glad to hear that his body has been found, and I'm hoping that everyone in the tragedy has been taken care and looked after. That's one Binksy boys. Enjoy the preview. So guys, today back for another video on the channel. Today we're here after Newcastle United versus Bournemouth preview, a massive one. Premier League football Saturday. This is for me a must-win game for Newcastle United if we are going for top 4 this season. If we go for top 7, it's arguably a massive game for Newcastle United, and these 3 points if we pick them up on Saturday could be massive to our season. But make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would mean a lot if you could do so. Anyways boys, let's get the video now. We'll start off by looking at Bournemouth and then look at Newcastle. So then Bournemouth, as we all know, it's the title of the video. It is Eddie Howe, the Eddie Howe derby, and it is the first time Eddie Howe will be going back to Bournemouth Stadium since leaving them after their relegation to the Championship back in 2020. It was a disappointing time for the club. They didn't bounce back straight away. In second time round, they've done it, which is very lucky. I think if they didn't come to the Premier League this season, they would have been in the championship for a couple of years. But they've made some big signings in January. If we have a quick look at some of the players that they have signed, Hamid Traore from Salisu for 90 million market value. I'm not sure how much he actually signed for. They signed a centre back, I don't want to pronounce his name, Vinya from Roma, a striker from Bristol City, Darren Randolph, and I don't want to try and pronounce his name. They paid 90 million for Lorient. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'm really not. But they've made some big signings, spent a lot of money. They've spent 20 million on a centre back from Ukraine, spent 8.8 million on a striker from Bristol City, and then spending 20 million on that winger. So they have signed some players, Bournemouth, and obviously they did have their, I don't know if it was a takeover or someone came in, I can't remember who. But as of recently, Bournemouth are sitting 19th in the Premier League table, and at the minute the table's starting to show where it's going to look like towards the end of the season, where you've got Southampton, Bournemouth, Everton, Leeds, West Ham, Wolves, Leicester and Nottingham Forest, Palace, because they're all the teams to like be in that relegation battle, but I'm sure most of them should be okay. Bournemouth have been on some horrific form recently. Since returning from the World Cup, they played their first game returning from the World Cup against Newcastle in the AFL Cup, as we are going to the final massive win in that tournament. We beat them 1-0. Losing 2-0 to Chelsea, losing 2-0 to Palace, losing 3-0 to Man United, losing 4-2 to Burnley. I know Burnley have been doing magnificent, but you've got to be doing better against a Championship team. 2-0 defeat against Brentford, 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest, where they were 1-0 up and Sam Sturridge came on for replacing Chris Wood, Newcastle player. And then last week got beat 1-0 against Brighton away with a Matoma late goal. They've not won a game they've only won 2 games, 3 games since October. 3 games since October, and we are in the middle of February. Yes, I know the World Cup break, but they've got to be doing better if they want to stay in this league. Yes, I know obviously they had Scott Parker as manager, got them promoted, got beaten 9-0 against Liverpool, and Gary O'Neill, very experienced, doesn't really know much about the job, just came in and it looked okay towards the end of the World Cup, where they were like, do they bring someone in during the World Cup break where they could start a fresh start, but they didn't. Got Gary O'Neill. I don't know if it's until the end of the season or he signed a long-term contract, but it is an interesting one to look at, you could say, because obviously Bournemouth have not picked up results, and it's as simple as that. Turning on the World Cup and you've not won a game, you've picked up 1 point in now both competitions in that period of time. It's not looking too promising, and I'm sure Eddie Howe will want them to stay up and have the best season they can have, but he'll also want us to absolutely terrorise them and pick up 3 points as we desperately need it going into the final and our last away game until the final. It's such an important game, and they've got some good players. Bournemouth have got the capability to stay up. Neto, the goalkeeper, I think he's looked brilliant in some of the games he's played. Obviously at Bournemouth, obviously former Barcelona, but if we're looking at their team that played against Brighton, you wouldn't think that this team is Bournemouth. I'm a massive fan of Philip Billing in the midfield. I think he's a very dangerous player, to be fair, but it's the defence. Like Adam Smith, I swear he was playing for Bournemouth when they first got promoted to the Premier League with Eddie Howe. There's not too much Bournemouth players there that were playing under Eddie Howe. Lerma was, I think Billing might have been. Apart from that, it's a very fresh squad. Even the bench, not many players on the bench who used to play for Eddie Howe. They've had a massive transition period, and we'll have to wait and see if it's going to pay off. Obviously they're on TV as well. It's a long journey for Newcastle. Everything at the minute is going towards Newcastle, but you kind of sack Bournemouth off. They need the points more than us, but let's speak about the tune. Right then, Newcastle. I want to speak about something about Newcastle, which I don't know if many fans have picked up on because we are doing so well in the final, but Premier League games alone, strictly Premier League games, right, since returning from the World Cup, 3, 4, 5 goals. 5 goals. Yes, that's not including the Cup. But in the league, 3 goals against Leicester, that's 3 goals in one game. A 0-0 against Leeds, a 0-0 against Arsenal, a 1-0 win against Fulham, a 0-0 against Palace, and a 1-1 against West Ham. I'm not slating the boys because they were a cup final, and that I think we've prioritised that a little bit more compared to the league, which I'm all for. Absolutely, I'd rather win a trophy than finish in the top 7. Like, absolutely. But where are we going to get goals from? Because I really want to see Isaac start from the start. He's back fit. He looked a threat in most of the games he's played this season. We just need to see him. Obviously against West Ham he had that little bit of a concussion, but he will play against Bournemouth on Saturday. Where are we going to get these goals from? And I think Callum Wilson will start the game as well after getting his goal against West Ham very early on. But we need to see a little bit more outgoing. I think defensively, do we need anyone from the midfield to stay back? I think on a counter attack definitely, but Joe Linton could drop in. But I'm loving seeing Joe Linton get up the field. Yes, it was everyone was so frustrated seeing Joe Linton out on the left, but he was working really well and whatnot. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. You'll see the predicted team. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to give it away. The main talking point about that, you'll see tomorrow, is Gordon going to start? Maximin's been in the media quite a bit this week for some of the good reasons, some of the not. I seen him probably doing an interview saying he's absolutely fine with that, the way he's been treated at the squad, the way Eddie Howe's approached Newcastle United, the way Eddie Howe's managed Newcastle United, and he's all for the club doing well. But there's a lot of fans saying it's the time for Maxi to go. When you come in, like last week against West Ham, if you come into that team knowing that if Bruno was fit you wouldn't play, you've got to play for your place. And did he play for his place? Don't get us wrong, he wasn't absolutely horrendous, shocking, like the way sometimes I've went on about players, but he just needs that. I think he just needs a goal. I think that's all he needs. He's not scored since August with that insane volley against Wolves, but it's one of them. It is one of them, and we'll have to wait and see. Will Maxi start or will Gordon start? Wait and see for the predicted team tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Bournemouth, tough place to go. They'll probably play a 4-4-1-1, so our 4-4-3 works with it, which is quite good. I can say defence being very strong against their attack. If I've got to say a prediction, boys, I'm going to say we've got to win. We've got to win. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Newcastle. Quite comfortable. We have got to win this game for our top 4 run and for confidence going into the AFL Cup final and a massive game next week against Liverpool. That is the end of the preview, boys. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would mean a lot if you could do so. Anyways, boys, I'll see you all for the predicted team tomorrow and the game on Saturday. Away the lads.